Well, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon on this Sunday afternoon. My apologies for running late. I was stuck in traffic. If you know that I live in the Dutch village of Lisse, where there's also something called Keukenhof, you know that it is very busy with traffic these days in the months March, April and May. And today, normally speaking, there's only a lot of traffic inbound towards the village, and this time round one of the main exit roads was closed down for some reason. Maybe an accident or something happened. So now there was also traffic outbound that was fully stuck. And that meant that I had to reverse and find a different route on my way over here. Which meant that when turning, you also got stuck in the inbound traffic for a while. Now, as you guys can see, the cloud base is quite low. If I show you guys the bigger picture, it is fully overcast at the moment. Visibility on ground level is okay-ish. At the moment it is 9 degrees centigrade, so that is approximately 48 degrees Fahrenheit. There is wind blowing from the north. 8 knots or so, less wind than yesterday, definitely. So thanks to all of you for hanging in there, being patient. Normally I try to be in time, and preferably a bit early. Today it was not the case. Now, at the moment, the Polderbaan runway 36 left, where I'm standing at, is the only runway open for departures. Not too long ago, the Kaagbaan runway 24 was also open for departures. Landing takes place on runway 27, the Buitenvelderbaan, at the moment. As you can see, traffic is underway over here. In the meantime, to give you an idea of the wind, here's the windsock over at the fire station. The weather report says 8 knots. The water, the canal over here is much calmer than it was yesterday. But yeah, I keep hearing good things about this global warming, but if anybody knows when they are going to roll that out in the Netherlands, I'm curious to learn. At the moment, spring seems to be very far away. Now, luckily, there's always the bright blue from KLM to give a bit of color to the day. And if you listen closely, the birds are also chattering, so although it looks like fall, fortunately it is still a few months away. Now I had a look on Flight Radar before going out, and I saw that today the Emirates A380 is the Journey to the Future livery. Assuming that the runways are going to stay more or less the same as they have been so far, we're likely to see her depart later today. At the moment at the threshold, Corendon flight 719 outbound to Antalya, Boeing 737-800, 23 years old, first flight was in December 1999. Now it is said that tomorrow the sun is going to come out again. Sure hope that is true. Meanwhile the TUI Dreamliner already spooling up. No sooner than the Corendon 737 left the ground. Unfortunately, I didn't have time to give you some background details of this airplane, but it's probably off to a destination in the Caribbean. That is often the case, but maybe I'm wrong. You can nicely see the condensation over the top foil, if that's the proper name for it, the top part of the wing. Just after rotation. No, oh, there it again. Now, no wingtip vortices. Now, in the meantime, the PHBVA is also coming this way, otherwise known as the Orange Pride liveried 777-300ER. There she is. We did miss a 747 taking off as I was setting up, but we are at least in time to see the Orange Pride triple take off in a few minutes. Now Delta A330 before it, as you guys could see. And at the runway threshold, what looks to be German Airways. Although it says KLM. KL 1873, German Airways, outbound to Stuttgart. Embraer 190, long range, 17 years of age. First flight was in January 2006. So unfortunately with today's cloud base, there's not a lot of following we can do. Delta is already ready to go. Delta Airlines flight 49, outbound New York JFK A330-300. First flight, April 2016, that makes it 7 years old. Now will the A330 give some vortices on the wingtips? Yep, always beautiful. Even on my little camera screen, clearly visible. And gone. Okay, next up is the Orange Pride 777-300, the PHBVA. A familiar sight. Outbound today to Sao Paulo as KLM flight 791. It is a Boeing 777-300ER, 15 years old. First flight was in January 2008. Some lovely condensation. Around the entrance of the engines. So even though we cannot follow the airplanes for too long, due to the high humidity, it does provide some nice footage while we can see them. Look at that, beautiful. Might have to update my thumbnail once I get home after today's stream with one of these stills. Now, quickly back to the threshold, because the next airplane is also already ready to go. They're going so quickly I don't even have the time to look up all the details. KLM flight 757, outbound Panama City. Now next up will be a Boeing 737 from KLM. (737-800), KLM flight 1233, outbound Paris Charles de Gaulle, 24 years old. First flight was in January 1999. Anyway, she is. Meanwhile, back at the threshold, one of KLM's Embraers. This is KLM flight 1017 outbound London Heathrow, Embraer 190, 13 years old, first flight January 2010. Now, coming towards me, another Embraer. German Airways in the Leysieffer Chocolaterie livery, outbound Düsseldorf. 15 years old, first flight January 2008. Anyway, she is, and that gives us a moment of time so that I can finally catch up with the chat that I think has been very active already in the meantime. Before doing that, let me have a look at flight radar. Okay, so there's an Embraer 175 coming this way. Is there also another runway open for outgoing traffic? Oh yeah, Kaagbaan is now also open for outbound, runway 24. So we won't see all traffic coming this way, unfortunately. Hey, but I do see that the shortcut has been opened again, because the Embraer from outbound to Copenhagen is now cutting short. So I think that the 777-200 outbound New York JFK is also going to cut short. So it seems that at least that part of the runway has reopened again. So I see a lot of people already chatting, a lot of familiar names. Hello to you all. I think the chat has gone too far now to name everybody by name, unfortunately. But everybody, I wish you a very good afternoon. Welcome to AMS Live. We are awaiting the next inbound, or at least the next outbound traffic to come towards us. I do see that Evelyn asked if I can also present before the camera. Well, maybe one day in time I'll do a face reveal, but for now I feel more comfortable standing behind the camera. Who knows? Hey there, Don, thank you so much for your super sticker. Thank you so much, my friend. As you see, what I see over here in the program I'm using, which is Ecamm Live, it says per character doing a shake us sign with his hand saying cool. undoubtedly, if I look back once I get home and I read the chat back on YouTube, it's probably a very nice emoji sticker, whatchamacallit. Alright, so back to the camera it is. So this is Embraer 175 outbound Copenhagen, 6 years old, first flight May 2016. And it's a turn and burn by the looks of it. So yesterday evening, after getting home from having dinner with my buddy Gosse, who also sometimes says hello in the chat, I went to the stream of LA flights, hopefully to see the Dreamliner KLM flight 603 land in Los Angeles. But unfortunately the guys were streaming on the north side and the KLM Dreamliner apparently touched down on the south side, so wasn't able to see it land. We did see it take off over here in the afternoon, and according to Flightradar they did have a safe landing, but unfortunately I was curious to see, but at least yesterday I wasn't able to see a touchdown. Now this is a familiar sight. You guys all recognize it. It is a 777, and this one is KLM flight 641 777-200ER, and it's going to New York JFK in a few moments. Well, it is going to New York JFK already, but the speed with which it's going to go there will increase in a few moments drastically. So as it is taxiing to the runway threshold, which it will arrive at in a few moments, let's see what's coming up. So that looks like an A350 from Delta, and behind it an A330 also from Delta. Now the 777 that is outbound first to New York JFK is 17 years old. It's almost about to turn onto the runway. Its first flight was in February 2006. The A350 that is taxiing towards us is Delta Airlines Flight 75. It is an A350-900 outbound to Atlanta. But first, the 777-200 outbound to New York JFK. Now, if you're new to the channel but you're liking what you're seeing, do consider subscribing. It's free. It helps you by enabling you to turn on notifications so that whenever I go live, you receive a heads up and can join us once again. And it also helps me to reach more people like you and me, aviation enthusiasts who like live streams like these. So the A350, taxiing to the threshold, followed by the company A330. As I was saying, the A350 900 outbound Atlanta, 6 years old. First flight was in October 2016, and the A330 behind it is Delta Airlines flight 137 outbound to Detroit. A330-300, 19 years old. First flight was in March 2004. Magnificent to see this. So yeah, we're not able to follow it for long, but we do get to see some other visuals that you otherwise wouldn't be able to see. Now, A330 is already lined up, so that's one thing. Now, interesting to see if it's also going to take off. Okay, spooling up, another step in the process of taking off. Going to takeoff thrust, another little step. Rotating, so they're committed to flights. Now, what will the landing gear do? Looks like it's retracting. All right then. Couldn't see if it was fully retracted by the time it had hit the clouds, but it's always a thing. Right, so another TUI, Dreamliner, outbound to Curaçao, Willemstad, 7878, flight 355. This particular airplane, 8 years old, first flight was in November 2014. Little asymmetry in the main gear, retracting, right going up quicker than the left part. Also a relatively shallow rate of climb compared with the earlier planes. Now the RPM also sounded lower than I think would be standard, so probably a very derated takeoff. Maybe also a lower speed of climb then. Alright, so another little break for now. Let me have a look at flight radar, zoom a little out, see what is coming next. Oh, okay. Another A350 is coming this way, A350-900 from China Southern Airlines, outbound to Guangzhou. I probably totally mispronounced that name, but there you go. I think we can see it on the left-hand side. So now they can shortcut from the main platform area instead of having to go around runway 18 center, 36 center. So although, at least to my knowledge, it hasn't reopened yet officially, they are able to shortcut at least in the middle of the runway. So that does save a lot of time for a lot of planes taxiing to and from the gate. In the meantime, that allows me a moment to sip on some coffee. I see some discussion about ATC. I did also get the question a few times whether or not I would introduce ATC also, but I think it is a bit distracting. That's just my personal preference. Now, of course, if you are watching this on a computer, you can always go to, what is it, liveatc.net or something, where you can also live listen to the ATC of Schiphol live. So if you feel it adds value to your viewing pleasure, then definitely go ahead. But even if it is allowed or not, I don't know actually, but I will not be introducing it in my streams, at least for now. And I also don't have any plans to do so. Now, as we are waiting for the A350, passed it already. So you can see the smoke from the Vattenfall power plant. It's moving from left to right and a little bit parallel to the runway. Wind is mostly from the north, 8 knots or so. Where I'm standing, it feels much more calm than yesterday. Yesterday it was also gusty over here. And it also shows you something about the visibility over here at ground level. It is a bit hazy if you look further out to the distance. Now, I am by no means a bird expert, so I have no idea what kind of bird this is, but seems to be looking for some food in the grass on its own. Don't see any friends. No ducks over here at the moment. We do have a Chinese bird of European origin that is getting closer by. There she is. Looks like a little smiley face if you look from the front, just because of the darker colors at the bottom. Or maybe that's just my vivid imagination. That could also be the case. Now if anybody knows Chinese, what does it say to the right of where it says China Southern? I'm guessing it is probably China Southern in Chinese, but if it is something different, do let us know. Fortunately, these camcorders these days are not yet fully incorporated with Google Translate, so that I can only touch the markings on my screen and it immediately translates it to English or Dutch or whatever language I want it to translate to. Now what's funny is that as it turns, you start hearing the engines. I hear it over here, but you can also clearly hear it on the video, I noticed. And gone already. Yeah, too bad about the low cloud base today. Less than a minute of following after it has left the ground, but what's better than nothing, I guess. Hey there, Rick. Good to see you, my friend. Next Friday they forecast a light breeze from the east. Do you reckon they will use the Polderbaan? Well, the Polderbaan is always one of the two preferential runways of Schiphol together with the Kaagbaan, so they typically try to use those two as much as possible. So if it's just a light breeze from the east, then they will probably use the Polderbaan. Most likely they will then use, if I had to guess, I would say that then with a light breeze from the east, they will use Kaagbaan for landings and they will use Polderbaan for departures. But knowing Schiphol, you never know for sure, of course. Hey Gosse, goedemiddag. Still full from yesterday, my friend. Kuni Linux says that cargo lux 747 firing up. Let me have a look on flight radar then. Yeah, but it's going to Luxembourg, so I'm afraid that it might be taking off from runway 24 then, instead of the Polderbaan. The first airplane to come this way is going to be an Embraer 175 from KLM, outbound Norwich. Embraer 175, KLM flight 1519. And what's coming next? Well, there's an A330 to Oranjestad, taxiing away from the Kaagbaan, so that one is also going to come this way. Let me also have a look on the app that says the current runway usage. Yeah, 24 is still open, so I'm very much afraid that the 747 is going to take off to Luxembourg from runway 24 then. The A330 from KLM to Oranjestad is coming this way. Aer Lingus to Dublin also seems to be coming this way. And that's about the most I can say with any degree of certainty or high probability. And there is the Embraer. In the meantime, good day to Antonio and good day to KCT Eagle, and Spice Fire, Gabi, Lucas. Good day to you all. Hope you're all doing well. Over here, as you guys can see, it is overcast. Visibility on ground level is okayish, but it's not crystal clear. There's some wind blowing from the north. Temperature just under 10 degrees C, so in the high 40s Fahrenheit. We are expecting sun again tomorrow, but they also said last week that this week the temperatures were going to go towards 20 degrees centigrade, and yesterday when I look back at the weather forecast, it's not going to get higher than 15 or 16 degrees or so, so predicting well in advance with any high degree of certainty, always difficult. Always has been and still today. Now it looks like this Embraer might be coming directly towards us to take off in front of us, maybe with a rolling start or a turn and burn. If it is going to take off, it's not going to go left or right anymore, and you'll see the additional takeoff lights go on in a few moments on the side of the fuselage. The current light that is on is only just the taxi light, if I am not mistaken. Yeah, I don't see any other lights. Always a bit hard to see on my little screen, but just the nose wheel light that is on at the moment still. Paul giving some feedback, no crackling. Well, there is also hardly any wind at the moment where I'm standing, so even without the pouch there probably wouldn't be any crackling, but it's good to know that the sound is still good. And there are the other lights on. Up, up, and away. I was just about to remark that I haven't seen any birds nor the bird controllers yet, but we do see one of their vehicles in the distance. One of the Volkswagens and not the Ford Rangers. Oh no, this is not. This is P6. Authority, it said on the side. So in the meantime, 2 more planes coming this way. In the front, Aer Lingus flight 605, Airbus A320-200 outbound Dublin, 17 years old. First flight was in September 2005. Behind it, KLM flight 767, but it is an A330-300 outbound to Oranjestad. 11 years old. First flight was in February 2012. Okay, so both planes are going to the runway threshold. I actually expected the Aer Lingus to take a right turn come this way. Now, the A330 has also passed the entrance, so that is also not going to happen. So in that case, we will have to wait a little for the Aer Lingus to take off. Is that? No, that's the same vehicle in the background. I was wondering if it was maybe the pickup truck of one of the bird controllers, but thus far no bird controllers have been seen. So these A330s, they retract their landing gear so slowly that you cannot even see it fully. You cannot see it until the end of the procedure before they are entering into the clouds. But it was looking good as far as we were able to see it, at least. So probably went fine. Hey there, Elske and Larry Brown. Thank you so much for your kind words, my friend. I do my best, but it's not that hard when you enjoy what you're doing. So I'm glad you guys are enjoying the content and happy to hear that. So we are waiting for the next airplane to come this way. Seems that is going to be a Boeing 737-900 from KLM outbound to Helsinki, Finland. Let's have a look what else is going on. Let me also have a look on the app that shows the runway usage. According to that, 24 is still open for departures. Now, interestingly, I see that the daily flight from Icelandair back to Reykjavik is on the move, and it is a Boeing 767 today. Was it yesterday or was it the day before yesterday that we saw the flying pencil? I think it was yesterday. So today we are going to see the Boeing 767. If I click on it on Flight Radar, I see that it is still in the old livery, which makes sense, of course, because it is an older airplane type. First up is going to be the KLM 737-900 outbound to Helsinki, which is a 737-900. First flight was in April 2004, and that makes it 18 years old. It goes by the name KL1169 on this route. And you can see it come this way. Now a bit further out still, but on its way over here is the 767-300ER from Icelandair. Flight 501 outbound to Reykjavik. And that is a 23-year-old aircraft. First flight was in February of 2000. Hey Marissa, goedemiddag. En Wayne, goedemiddag. That's interesting that with the prevailing wind, they also open up 24 for departures because the wind is coming from the north. So that means that there's basically a little bit of tailwind for airplanes taking off from 24. Now the wind speed, of course, is not that hard, so that's probably why they also opened up 24. I think that if the wind had been a bit stronger than it is at the moment, then they wouldn't have opened it, because then probably it wouldn't be as easy to take off as it is now. Now the 737 already has its lights on, so I'm guessing it's going to take a right-hand turn, come this way over here. I think it is. And the Icelandair 767 behind it in the background, also visible already. That is going to be the next airplane to take off from here. First we will see this 737. It has all its lights on already, so might do a rolling start or a turn and burn. Well, now they switched it up. Two lights on the side of the fuselage were already on, but now they are shining more brightly. The nose wheel light I turned off. and it vanished into thin air. And here is Icelandair flight 501, 23-year-old 767-300 ER. Now you can see on the right of the airplane the big tail from Emirates, the A380. It is still parked over there. Hopefully we will see it take off from the Polderbaan later this afternoon. It is the Journey to the Future livery. So it is a special livery, but not as colorful as the Destination Dubai that we saw a couple of times recently. In the meantime, if I glance quickly at flight radar on my phone, I can see that there's also a 777 coming this way, by the looks of it, to Shanghai by the looks of it, so I will give you the details later. It's not back-to-back traffic at the moment, so that is also not too bad for a change. As long as traffic keeps trickling over here and there's a bit of variation. I like how they took care not to get a tail strike by pulling the stick too hard to themselves, and first made sure that they left the ground a few meters before increasing the rate of climb. Unfortunately, it seems that the cloud base is not going up higher, and we are still losing them to the clouds shortly after they left the ground. Now I think that the next plane is already coming this way. You can see it over there. According to flight radar, it is still a bit further out, or is that Air Canada? I think it might be Air Canada. Yep, it seems that is Air Canada. So 2 triples on the move. China Cargo Airlines, outbound Shanghai, 777 freighter. But it seems that the Air Canada 777-200 long range to Toronto will be coming first. So 2 triples in a row by the looks of it. So the Air Canada triple with the sunglasses look. Now where where is that other triple? Maybe it had to take a pit stop momentarily. I think it's going to enter the view from the right in a second. Alright then, 2 triples coming this way, back to back. Don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. And a very good morning to Betty, who posted a lot of sunshine. Please send some sunshine over here, because as you can see it is fully overcast over here. What sunny part of the world might you be chatting us from, Betty? So the first 777 that is coming this way is Air Canada flight 809, outbound to Toronto. It is a 777-200 long range, 15 years old. Its first flight was in February 2008. Behind it is a 777 freighter from China Cargo Airlines, outbound to Shanghai and brand new. Was delivered, or its first flight, I should say, it was in February of this month. There are even no pictures of it in flight radar just yet. And Ash Neil Folks says not sunny in London, so we share the same weather at the moment. Hey there, Ina, good afternoon. I'm doing well, hope you're doing well too. It is not too warm over here, it's about 9 degrees centigrade, so that's in the high 40s Fahrenheit. Winds blowing from the north mostly, 8 or so knots. Not a whole lot. Definitely less than yesterday. If I look at the windsock over at the fire station, you guys can see it is but a breeze. Meanwhile, Rick is mentioning that the sky is getting brighter over there in Leeuwarden, in the north of the country. So hopefully some sunshine will also come this way. Thus far I don't see a lot of improvement, although if I do zoom out a little and point the camera towards the northeast, it does seem that in the distance the sky is a little bit brighter than it is over here, so who knows, we might still see a little bit of sunshine later in the afternoon. Poof. Anyway, she went. Still audible, but no longer visible. Now it's funny because I honestly haven't seen any bird control vehicles today, also not while I was setting up, so maybe they took a day off, I don't know. Ordinarily you would have seen them already, or at least have heard them somewhere in the distance setting off some fireworks, but not today. Now let's have a look. Let me first of all have a look and see if 24 is still open. Well, it seems that 24 is still open for departure, so we still have 2 runways in use for departures. Does seem that there is another 777 freighter from China Cargo Airlines on the move, or is it? Don't know for sure. So far, the only thing I can tell with certainty is that there is an E2 Embraer 195 coming this way. KLM flight 1781 outbound to Hamburg. Short flight. This airplane is a year old. Its first flight was in February 2022. Now, a bit hard to tell what traffic might be following next. The triples that I see are not on the move. The other traffic still on the other side. There is a KLM Dreamliner outbound to Mexico and also a Dreamliner outbound to JFK, New York JFK. That is active on the platform. Lovely to see the small cores of the engines in the high bypass. You can see through them, through the fins. Beautiful to see. Is it going to be a turn and burn? I think it is. Anyway, she is. Now, we're still waiting for the next airplane to come this way. Don't see anything in the vicinity just yet. And one of the 777s that is on the move seems to be turning away from us. The China Cargo Airlines, if it was to come to us, it probably would have taken another a right-hand turn, unless of course they have instructed the pilots to go around runway 18 center. it does seem that the KLM Dreamliner outbound to Mexico City is moving, and it's coming this way. Now the one to New York JFK isn't on the move yet. Let's have a look at the Spottersplaats. A lot of cars parked. The van where you can buy French fries and whatnot. The snack car also there. Looks like there's also a camper from some tourists. A lot of people also towards the cycling path. Always during the weekends, if it isn't pouring with rain, there's always a lot of people going out to watch some planes over here. In the meantime, I'm standing here all by myself. No other people live streaming. There was one guy taking some photographs earlier. At the moment, only one person with the family, by the looks of it, standing at the roundabout. Now, the 777 that is going to Madrid also seems to be... is it moving? The Emirates Sky Cargo, but yeah, it's outbound to Madrid, so it's looking like it might, if it is going to move, take off from runway 24. Is this runway still open? I'm beginning to wonder. Let me double check. Well, it does say that 36 left is still open. So in that case, I think that the next plane will likely be the Dreamliner from KLM outbound to Mexico City. What time is the Emirates A380 expected to take off? Let me have a look. Departures. Shouldn't be too long anymore, probably. Emirates flight 148 to Dubai, estimated to depart 15:35, so that is 15 minutes from now. Okay, so we still have to wait a bit for the A380. Now, the Dreamliner from KLM outbound Mexico City has taken a right turn, which means that it's soon going to make a left-hand turn and will come this way. Let me see if we can pick it up as it is moving towards us. Oh, there it is in the middle. There is the mock-up. I think during one of the earlier streams somebody asked if they saw it correctly that some military plane was standing out there, and I'm thinking that they might have seen what I'm showing you in the middle, which is a mock-up plane that the firemen can use to practice fire escapes and putting out fires with. But it does look from a distance like maybe it's a military airplane. But that is a mock-up airplane that the emergency services can use to practice on, to practice emergency situations on. Now in the meantime, not a whole lot of activity visible in the distance. So let me pan back left because that is where... there it is. So that is the Dreamliner from KLM outbound Mexico City. First plane to come this way. So it has just crossed runway 18 center, 36 center, taking the shortcut that had been closed apparently until today, because yesterday they still had to take the detour, so to speak. Now, for the first time since I have been setting up over here and since I arrived on the scene, I think I see a bird control vehicle. Haven't heard them set off any fireworks just yet, but they are patrolling. It is the Ford Ranger. Lost tracking a little bit because I was waving and was looking to see if the guy was waving back. Now, an easy day for them today. Haven't seen a lot of birds. I think that will change as soon as the sun comes out a bit more later in the season. We have seen a lot of bird flocks before, right next to the runway. Really dangerous. I'm surprised actually that we haven't seen any bird strikes so far. Obviously, on the one hand, I'm happy that that hasn't occurred yet, but on the other hand, it would make interesting footage, of course. Okay, so coming this way is our next plane. It is KLM flight 685 7879 Dreamliner outbound Mexico City. Registration PHBHG. The airplane 6 years old. First flight was in June 2016. Now, I think another 7879 Dreamliner from KLM outbound to JFK, New York JFK, might be the next plane that will come this way. And of course, we are waiting for the big bird in the middle of the screen in the background, which is expected to depart in 45 minutes or so from now. So if you do have other things to do, try to check back in 45 minutes at least. But better yet, stick around until then. keep hearing two birds making noises. After this departure, let me have a look and see if we can see the culprits. Came here for my peace and quiet, not for birds chattering. You guys can probably hear it now as well. Somebody is chirping for attention. Probably jealous that all the big birds get all of the attention. The big bird has gone into the clouds. Where is that bird I'm hearing? Maybe somewhere in the edge. Sounds like it's coming from over there somewhere. Hey, what's that? Might that be the bird? Or is it the one over there? Welcome to National Geographic, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Boy. Now we are watching two birds looking for food. I think these are the ones that we were hearing. Well, if anybody knows what's going on, do tell me. Is that a male bird trying to impress a ladybird? Okay. You've been watching National Geographic. Now it's time to go back to other types of birds. Now, a familiar silhouette. Another Dreamliner. Another 7879 Dreamliner. This one, KLM flight 645, outbound to New York JFK. 7 years old. First flight was in March 2016. Now, don't see any other traffic coming this way right away. Keep going back to the app that shows the current runway usage, but nothing has changed. So 36 left and 24 should both still be open for outbound traffic. But it seems that for now we'll have to wait a little bit after this Dreamliner has taken off in a few moments. All right. Now let's have a look on flight radar. There's no immediate traffic in the immediate vicinity, but there is movement. Seems that Delta Airlines flight 145, an A330 outbound to Seattle, is taxiing over here. There's also an Embraer 190 from KLM on the move. It doesn't say its destination. It does seem to be moving over here. Seems that there's a Turkish A330 to Istanbul that has been pushed back. Also a likely candidate to depart from the Polderbaan. Next to it there is a 777 from KLM in the SkyTeam livery that has become active at least, but appears to still be on at the gate. Let's see. Boeing 737 from Ryanair outbound Dublin also seems to be on the move, so in a few moments looks like we are going to see 3 or 4 aircraft. It seems that there's also an Embraer 190 from KLM that is outbound to Oslo, taxiing over here, although still to the south, has to cross the A4 highway first. But it does seem like that there are at least 4 airplanes on the move this way. Now, Kaagbaan runway 24 still open for departures. According to the app I'm using, now while we are waiting for metal birds, let's do some bird watching. Now I'm always confused, is this a crow or is it, don't know the English word for it, kou in Dutch I think? Kraaien and kauwen, never seem to be able to pick them apart, to tell them apart. Both blacky, birdie thingies. Seems to be enjoying the view. Having a little bit of lunch, losing a bit of lunch. Haven't seen any falcons for quite a while. Looking around to see if I see any other birds. No ducks today, as far as I can tell. Anyway, I think I see some movement in the distance in the direction of the main platform area, so let's zoom in and have a look. Maybe zoom a little bit out because there's a couple of planes on the move and they are coming this way. So let's have a look. First plane to arrive on the scene will be KLM flight 1175, an Embraer 190 outbound to Trondheim, 13 years old, first flight July 2009. Number 2 is going to be Delta Airlines flight 145 outbound to Seattle. It is an A330-300, 20 years of age. First flight was in January 2003. Number 3 is going to be Ryanair flight 3007 off to Dublin, 737-800, 16 years old. first flight was in January 2007. And then number 4, KLM flight 1217, Embraer 190 outbound to Oslo, and that is a 7-year-old plane which had its first flight in December 2015. So first up, the Embraer 190, KLM flight 1175, outbound Trondheim. And that is 13 years old. Well, interesting Embraer 190. Seems that there is also an airplane that is not visible on flight radar. Now this makes for a lovely picture. Let me take a photo. Also a candidate for a thumbnail. You can see how the airplane fuselage of the plane in the foreground is facing downward. Bit similar to what is with what also is the case with the Airbus A330. Okay, so mystery plane, destination unknown, age unknown, not visible on flight radar. So as I was operating the camera, I did hear some ducks quacking, but I don't see them anymore. Maybe they just flew by. And the bird controller is chasing away some birds further out. But where is the bird controller? I don't see any lights in the distance on either side. It did sound like it was coming from the far end, but I don't see it. So let's just go back towards the main platform area, have a look. More traffic is on the move. Seems that there's another Embraer 190 outbound to Copenhagen coming this way. I can also see that there's an A320 Neo from EasyJet outbound to London Gatwick. That seems to be coming this way. Also a KLM 777 outbound Dubai has become active. Delta Airlines outbound to Boston, also on the move. Very likely candidate to come this way, although 24 might also still be an option. So not going to speak before my turn, I think. Anyway, so despite the relative lulls that we've been having today in terms of traffic density, we still have more than 300 viewers at the moment, so thank you all for sticking out with me. If you're new to the channel and you are liking what you're seeing, do consider subscribing if you haven't done so already. Make sure that when you do, to turn on notifications so that whenever I go live again, and I do intend to go out for another stream tomorrow, you'll receive a notification, and if you have the time for it and are feeling like it, you can join us once again. It also helps me greatly to reach more people like you and me who are also into aviation content like this. Help the channel grow. It is already growing at a speed that I didn't ever dream of, but there is a large population of people still out there that haven't heard of AMS Live who might also be interested in it. So subscribing will help me reach those people as well. And if not, that's okay, fine. That's okay too. All my content is publicly accessible for members, subscribers, and non-member and non-subscribers alike. If you tuned in later, welcome. This is Schiphol Airport. I'm standing alongside the Polderbaan, runway 36 left, which currently is one of the two runways in use for departures. Interestingly, the second runway also open for departures is runway 24. And the wind is blowing from the north, so runway 24 basically has crosswind and tailwind, and every airplane taking off from this runway is facing more or less only headwind. Now the wind is only blowing with 8 knots or so, so it's not a lot of wind, of course, but it is interesting to see that Schiphol opens up a runway for departures that actually has tailwind instead of headwind. Temperature is approximately 9 degrees centigrade over here. You guys already saw it is overcast. 9 degrees centigrade, so that is 48 or so degrees Fahrenheit. As of tomorrow, more sun is expected. But yeah, they also said earlier in the week that the coming week we would see temperatures of 20 degrees centigrade, and that has been changed already. Now we are lucky if we are having 15 or 16 degrees later in the week. In the meantime, our next plane is arriving on the scene. And interestingly, it's also going to the runway threshold instead of taking the entrance right in front of us. Okay, let's see if the next plane, EasyJet Airbus, is going to taxi towards us in front of us. Kathleen never said hello to boy. My God, shame on you. Did you see our latest emoji, Kathleen? Weren't you a big fan of Vueling? So interesting that these planes are all taking off from the runway threshold. You'd think they would want to save that extra minute of taxiing that it takes to go to the threshold, well, when the runway length is so long as it is already. So this Neo outbound to London Gatwick, by the way, really quiet. Hopefully you guys also hear the difference on the stream. Extremely quiet airplane. And of course a lovely sound. Many GE90s I think they sound like. Also extremely quiet. These the A220s are also extremely quiet. And E2 Embraer 195s, by the way, as well. Okay, next up, Delta Airlines flight 257 A330-300 outbound to Boston. 16 years old. First flight was in December 2006. Now there's also a 777-200 from United outbound to San Francisco on the move. Will arrive on the scene shortly. think we see it in the distance, just in front of the A380. Okay, gear is going up. Anyway, she goes. Now I can see some movement on the left in the distance. That would be the United 777-200. In the meantime, the A380 also seems to be pushed back. Yeah, it is oriented differently. We can now see the Journey to the Future side. Okay, so we are also expecting the A380. Now, is runway 24 still open? Damn it, still is. So yeah, I wouldn't dare betting money on it yet that it is going to come this way, the A380. Fingers crossed, people. The A380 is going to taxi shortly, but is it going to come over here, or is it going to go to runway 24 for a departure to Dubai? We'll soon find out, but it is a bit exciting. In the meantime, here is United Flight 969 777-200ER outbound San Francisco. The airplane, 25 years old. Its first flight was in January 1998. Now I can also see that there is a 777-300 in the SkyTeam livery outbound to Dubai active. Oh, it was just never mind, it was a frozen image of a plane taking off from runway 24. So that is a 777 with destination Dubai, and it is departing from runway 24. That is an ominous sign. Might also indicate that that will also be what the A380 will be doing. And if it is taxiing that in that direction, then it might take the east side of the terminal building and go to run the threshold of runway 24. So I am cautiously pessimistic, dare I say it, that we won't see the A380 today, at least not closer by than we are doing right now. It seems that it is taxiing to the east side of the main platform area, which is probably going to mean that it's going to go to the runway 24 via the east side of the terminal building. Yeah, that's very ominous. I don't think we are going to see the A380 today, ladies and gentlemen. Now, what other traffic seems to be coming this way? I do see that there is a British Airways A320 outbound to London Heathrow that seems to be coming this way. There's also a 737 from KLM that is outbound to Stockholm. That also looks like it might come this way. Yeah, but the A380 is taxiing towards the threshold of runway 24. I don't think we will be seeing it today. Now, it seems that the 777 has stopped. I'm already looking around me to see, well, the only thing I can see is the bird controller in the distance over there. It doesn't seem to be on the runway. Also, I didn't hear any fireworks or anything. So, let's see what the triple will do. It is still looking like it's standing still. I do see a 777 from KLM that has become active on the platform outbound to Curaçao. That is a likely candidate to come over here. Meanwhile, it seems to have continued its taxi. I thought I heard it spool up a little. Now you can also see it turn. Okay. Maybe they just took a moment to take in the beautiful, vividly colorful surroundings over here at the Polderbaan. 50 shades of gray, maybe even more today. That was an unintentional rhyme. Hey, but this is something you don't see every day, to keep in theme of rhyming. The bi-colored engine casing. That's not typical for United, is it? Or am I just confused now. Maybe I'm just confused. Brain freeze. I think you're right, Marissa. The poor plane needed a break. They're not used to taxiing such long distances. I'm surprised that they didn't have to send in a tank wagon to fill it up. Hey there, Richard. Goedemiddag. I absolutely agree, Playmat. It does look good, the bitonal engine casing. But I don't think it is standard for the livery of United, is it? Isn't it normally fully grey? I think it is, but don't see United as often here as, for instance, Delta or KLM, so I'm starting to doubt myself when saying it out loud. So let me point the camera a little bit ahead and glance at flight radar one more time to see what's coming. So yeah, the two planes going to London and to Stockholm are indeed coming this way, the A320 and the 737-800. Also a 777 from Qatar, outbound Doha, active. Interesting. There are a few heavies active on the platform. The question is, will they be coming this way or not? We'll find out soon enough. For now, this is United 777-200 outbound San Francisco. Let's go. Now, call me crazy, but I do get the impression, if I show you guys the bigger picture, that the clouds are looking like they are a bit thinner than they were before. It does seem a bit lighter, albeit still overcast than it was around the beginning of the stream. This is to the west, but wind is blowing from the north, which is in the direction of the runway heading. So this would be the north. This would be the east, and all the way to the south is over there. Nobody at the roundabout anymore, although we do have a couple of birds that have landed in the water in the meantime. Proper hygiene, just making sure that the feathers are clean. Now the Speedbird Airbus already passed by the entrance to the runway over here, so it is going to the runway threshold. Behind it is the 737 from KLM, and that too is heading to the runway threshold. And once again, she's gone. In the meantime, two more planes have arrived on the scene. The first one is an EasyJet and the second one is a KLM. EasyJet, about to enter the runway, is a Neo. Flight 27843 outbound Birmingham, A320neo, 3 years old, first flight October 2019. So hopefully when I go out tomorrow, the clouds will open up a little bit more, so we're able to follow the airplanes a bit longer than is the case today. Seems that the humidity is also decreasing a little bit because we don't see that water vapor anymore as often. Or hardly at all anymore, actually, come to think of it. Alright, now if I turn around the camera to the right towards the main platform area, we will see that more traffic is underway, and it is a 777 no less. This is KLM flight 735 777-300 ER outbound to Willemstad in Curaçao, the Caribbean. The airplane is 6 years old, first flight was in January 2017. Meanwhile, I had a quick glance at the chat, but it is bustling over there with activity. Impossible for me to keep up with all your chats, but everybody who has joined us in the meantime, welcome. K4, bird controller. Is it going to set off some fireworks for us? In the meantime, the 777 is moving towards the runway threshold. Still a few seconds out. Let's see if we can witness a bit of firework. Well, obviously hard to see right now with the fence obscuring the view. So back to the triple it is then. Now it's a gentle trickle of traffic. We don't have any long lulls with no traffic, but it's certainly not all the time back to back as it was yesterday twice. As long as traffic keeps coming and as long as it's a bit varied, it's all good. Feels like we might have been able to follow this airplane just a bit longer than the previous ones. Maybe the clouds are thinning out a little bit. Still overcast. I haven't seen the sun today for a single moment yet. Who knows, that might still change. Often you see that it clears up as the afternoon progresses and evening starts to fall. Now of course we still have several hours of light ahead of us this time of year. Looking at flight radar, I can see 3 planes that are coming this way. 2 737s and 1 A319 from EasyJet. Make that 2. I think there's also one going to London Luton that is coming this way. So a couple of narrow bodies first. Now looking further out, there's an A330 from Delta Airlines outbound to Minneapolis on the move. That seems to be coming this way. The same goes for a Dreamliner from KLM that is outbound to Montreal. So 2 more heavies, 4 more narrow bodies. Let's see what is going to come next. In the meantime, I see that Henky has sent a fan character wearing heart-shaped sunglasses. Once I get home and look back the stream and also go through all the messages that you guys have been chatting and I have been missing for the most part, I will have a look and see what this description actually looks like. But thank you so much, Henky, for your kind donation. Really appreciate it. And Erik asks if I'm also sometimes standing along other runways. I do, although I do prefer this runway. Looking from over here, this is the ideal position for outbound traffic. On the other side, along the cycling path, you're almost ideally situated for inbound traffic. There's always good parking over here, also very important. When it gets windy, and the wind is coming from the right direction, typically from the west or southwest here along the coast, and runway 27 is open for business. That is also a location I very much like. I did go a couple of times to the far end of runway 24, but parking is a bit difficult over there, and also the positioning is not ideal in my book. I have been going there a couple of times, but I haven't been there for a while now. Maybe I should go over there again sometime, but I very much prefer this runway. Now the EasyJet Airbus going to the runway threshold. Let's see what the 737 is going to do. So the Airbus now moving to the runway threshold is an A319 outbound Copenhagen EasyJet A319, 13 years old. First flight was in September 2009. And the 737 will also go to the runway threshold. So let's pan ahead, back to the EasyJet A319 then. So, at the runway threshold, Boeing 737-900, KLM flight 1147, outbound Oslo, 21 years old, first flight October 2001. Quickly back to the runway heading for another EasyJet A320 outbound London Luton, EasyJet flight 22518, 4 years old, first flight May 2018. In the meantime, entering the runway is a Delta A330. Delta Airlines flight 165 A330-300 outbound Minneapolis, 16 years old, first flight 2006 October. Turn and burn. Okay, gear is retracting. For a moment I thought I had to air cool them first. Do see a little bit of condensation, so maybe only on the big birds it is more apparent. Oh, scared away some ducks or so. Okay, blue nose cone. 7879 Dreamliner KLM flight 671 outbound Montreal, 6 years old, first flight September 2016. Flexy, flexy, flexy. A little bit of condensation, not too much. So relative humidity must be decreasing then. And off to Canada it goes. Right, last plane for now. Then we'll have to wait a bit. EasyJet, another A319. EasyJet flight 22922, outbound Bristol. 14 years old, first flight December 2008. Alright, now, the moment I don't see any airplanes coming this way just yet, visually that is. It doesn't mean that there isn't any traffic inbound, or at least coming this way. Now, I have been using my bare hands for the most part up to now. Do start to get a little bit. My hands do get are starting to have my hand warmer with me, so I just fired that up to see if maybe I can warm up my hands a little bit in the time that we wait for the next airplane to arrive. There is a 737-800 from KLM coming this way, outbound Glasgow. Will become visible shortly. Let's see, there's a Saudi Dreamliner to Jeddah. But I think it is going to 4. The same for the Royal Air Jordanian A319 to Amman. So the Middle East destinations seem to be taking off from runway 24. Quick check on the app that shows current runway usage, and it confirms, unfortunately for us, that runway 24 is still also open for departures. So that is a bit disappointing today. That's only because there is not a whole lot of wind. Officer Rudolph, I saw you guys standing back there. Next time you guys are in the vicinity, do come and say hi. One of my first 2 subscribers back when I was starting out. I was just done streaming and a police car came over the cycling path, and it was Officer Rudolph and a colleague of him who were checking what I was doing. They had seen me already a couple of times before when I was still testing stuff out. Now my setup is quite elaborate, as I said before, so they were wondering what am I all carrying with me. So we had a very nice chat for 20 minutes or so, and I think those were my second and third subscribers after a buddy of mine already subscribed well before I was even out here testing. Also, not too long ago, well, I was testing some stuff in the rain. They also saw me and dropped a friendly message. In the meantime, I see that ALV Dog was also so kind to give a super sticker. Now, a thumbs up. That's a bit less elaborate in its description than the one that Henky was sending. Fan character wearing heart-shaped sunglasses. Now I cannot see the super stickers on my computer with the program I'm using, Ecamm Live, nor do I see them on my phone where I have the chat window out. I will have to have a look when I get home again. Hey, Jensie boy, the one from Insta. I know who you are. Good to see you, man. Hope you're doing well. So for now, we'll have to wait and see what next traffic is going to come. Okay, so the 737 already turned on its lights, so it's going to come straight ahead and take off in front of us. Let's zoom in fully for the close-up shot. The Embraer 175 outbound to Gdansk in Poland seems to be coming this way. Also a 777 outbound to Vancouver also seems to be coming this way. So it's definitely not yet the end of it. First, let's see this 737 take off. I am pulling on the rubber bands on my panhandle with my left hand. My right hand is grasping the hand warmer that has warmed up nicely in the meantime. Getting some blood flow back into my fingers. Although camera operation so far has been going well, I think. Pulling and pushing and turning around the camera and pressing some zoom rockers is not too taxing on the fine motor skills. But typically when you stop streaming and you try to tear everything down again and you have to do some fine motor skill thingies with your hands when working with wires, then you notice how stiff your hands have become from the cold. But the hand warmer is doing a really good job to prevent that from happening. And operating the camera without gloves on is even easier, plus it also makes looking at flight radar and the chat much more effective. Okay, so in the distance on the left hand side there is an Embraer 175 coming this way. It is KLM flight 1921 outbound to Gdansk in Poland. The airplane 5 years old, first flight was in January 2018. Not far behind it is a 777-200 ER KLM flight 681 outbound Vancouver, 16 years old. First flight was in January 2007. Now I don't see any other planes just yet, although the 777 is now in the middle of the screen visible, and the Embraer will soon re-emerge from the left. And Ingo Klever asks, my position today, is it the Polderbaan? It is. It is. So I'm standing in the grass next to the roundabout that is around the beginning of the runway. The runway over here stretches all the way over there. And the official Spottersplaats parking lot is over there. You can see the people standing just right of center, looking at the planes from the official Spottersplaats. And in the meantime, the Embraer turning and burning. Meanwhile, the 777 has also come closer by. That one is definitely, well, almost certainly going to go to the runway threshold first. The only time I saw a heavy takeoff in front of us via the entrance that is right in front of us was a KLM A330, and that was when a Delta A330 was standing just in front of the runway threshold and didn't move because they had to check stuff first. So only because the road was blocked, so to speak, did I ever see a heavy actually not take off from the runway threshold, from the very beginning of the runway, so to speak. Now the funny thing is, over here in the grass in real life, you also don't hear the airplane barely. Only when the engines turn towards you and you guys also start hearing it on the stream is when you also start hearing something over here in real life. So in that sense, it does actually represent how it sounds when you're standing next to the runway pretty accurately. Poof, and away she is. Now, you guys see the big picture, it is still overcast very much. Unfortunately, that hasn't improved over the time since we've been here. Waiting for the next traffic to come this way. Let me have a look on flight radar. Don't see anything just yet, although there is a Boeing 737 outbound to London Heathrow from KLM that seems to be active. Don't see it on the move yet. Okay, I do see an A319 from EasyJet outbound London Gatwick that seems to be moving. Just checking the app that shows current runway usage, and yeah, nothing has changed. So 27 still open for arrivals, 36 left where I'm standing at, and 24 both still open for departures. That's only because there isn't a lot of wind that 24 would be open for departures, because they are taking off with tailwind actually, because the wind is blowing from the north, 250 or so. So there's crosswind and a little bit of tailwind even for the airplanes taking off from the Kaagbaan at the moment. Now if they opened it temporarily, if there was heavy outbound traffic, I would understand it somewhat, but it has been open now for the majority of the time that I've been standing here already. I'm a bit surprised, but then again, it is Schiphol. You never know what they are going to do next. They keep it exciting, that's for sure. Now, I think my coffee, yeah, thermos is empty. Let me rehydrate with some water then in the meantime. What time is it? 4:15. Now, let's see. Okay, two more planes coming this way. A319, 737-800, both to London, one to Gatwick, the other Heathrow. Also, a 777-200 from KLM has become active on the platform outbound to Beijing. Would be interesting to see if this 777 is going to depart from 24 or from 36 left. I think it might. Ordinarily, I would say 36 left, no brainer, because it has to go to Beijing, which means going over Siberia. But with the current geopolitical situation going on, I think they all take different routes more southerly. Southernly. But still, a northbound departure makes more sense than a southwestbound departure. So it might be coming this way, but it doesn't seem to be on the move just yet. It did become active, but no movement yet. No Queens as well. There was one 747-400 that departed when I was just arriving on the scene, but I haven't seen any since. Now let's have a look. See another 777 from Qatar, 777-300. Nothing seems to be on the move just yet. Okay, so we will have to wait just a little bit longer. The two airplanes outbound to London are coming this way, so in a few moments they will appear. And what comes next, we'll have to see, will soon become apparent. Now I did bring my rain cover with me just to be sure, but in the end no precipitation fell, luckily for us. I was prepared for some. There was some on the weather radar earlier today, but I haven't seen any precipitation. Now unfortunately the ducks and all the other birds have also gone. Don't see any Schiphol scarecrows in the vicinity. They all seem to be on a coffee break. The wind also doesn't seem to have changed a lot. The windsock over at the fire station still angled in approximately the same position as before. And the exhausts from the power plant also still blowing in the same direction. We were able to see the chimneys better, I think, earlier during the stream, so visibility might also be going down again a bit. Although it is, well, I don't know exactly how far away those chimneys are, but they are far away. Here we have the dedicated control tower for the polderbaan. The main control tower of the main platform area is over there. Now you can already see it is a bit vague because of the mild haziness that there is. So imagine trying to watch what happens over here from over there. Hence, the polderbaan also has its dedicated control tower. So the A319 from EasyJet is outbound to London Gatwick. It is 17 years old. Its first flight was in January 2006, and the 737-800 behind it from KLM is outbound to London Heathrow. Its first flight was in February 2008, making this airplane 15 years old. Zooming out a bit further, don't see anything just yet coming closer by. Does seem that the EasyJet Airbus is going to depart in front of us. It hasn't turned on its lights yet. Or has it? Normally they are a bit brighter than... there they go. Meanwhile, the 737 is already lined up, ready to go. Its lights are on already, by the looks of it. And away she goes. Not a lot seems to have changed in terms of the height of the cloud base. Less than a minute from leaving the ground. After leaving the ground, they vanish into thin air, unfortunately. Hopefully tomorrow things will be better in that sense. Don't know yet if I'm going to go out tomorrow in the morning or in the afternoon. I'll have a look at the weather when I get home tonight. Decide on that, based on that. Okay, so coming towards us in the distance, from the distance, is another EasyJet A319, this one outbound to Manchester. Seems that there are two more planes also coming this way. Hey, what is that? Martin Air Cargo, Boeing 747. Yeah, interesting. There's also a 747 active on the cargo platform from Atlas Air. That is going to Seoul. Now that is a likely candidate to come over here. Now the Martin Air / KLM Cargo 747 does seem to be moving in this direction. But the 777-200 to Beijing is lined up at runway 24 as we speak. There's also a 777 to Doha that also is going in that direction. Well, interesting to see what is going to happen. And the 747 cargo just landed on runway 27. I was wondering why I was seeing it. It seemed to be taxiing on the runway and vacating the runway, so that was why I was a bit confused. But I have flight radar filtered on outbound traffic only, so I was a bit surprised to see it on the runway and vacating the runway. So apparently flight radar incorrectly saying it was an outbound airplane, when in fact it was just arriving. Now, does anybody know what the two letters above the cockpit windows mean? FR, the other one had AB. Now with AB I could at least think, okay, maybe it's for Airbus or something. But since this one had different letters on the front, the other one said AB, this one said FR. Does anybody know what those letters stand for? And gone. Last two letters of the registration of the plane. Timo and Frank say, thank you for letting us know. I didn't know that. Okay, now maybe both Embraers are coming this way. Makes for another nice shot. Let's take a photo with the camera. So, Embraer 190 in the foreground, outbound Dublin, 9 years old, first flight December 2013. Number 2, Embraer 175, outbound Belfast, 6 years old, first flight January 2017. Turn and burn. Turn and burn. Well, that one was certainly longer visible than the other ones before. Interesting. Because it didn't seem like it was taking off and climbing on a very shallow climb rate. Hey Lieve, I got an email from PayPal saying you received a donation. Thank you so much for your kind donation, my friend. I immediately get a message. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Now folks, the next plane to come this way is an Embraer 190 outbound to Göteborg. It is another German Airways Leysieffer Chocolaterie livery. Now I'm beginning to wonder, is this the same one that left for Düsseldorf earlier during the stream, and has it flown back already? Does anybody know? This is the registration D-APRI. Are there more airplanes with this livery, or is it just the one airplane? Because if it is, Steven says it is the same. So, okay, so I've been standing here quite a long time then, if we were able to see it leave for Düsseldorf and apparently already flew back from Düsseldorf back to Amsterdam already. This time round outbound for Göteborg. Steven says it flew Amsterdam, Stavanger, Amsterdam, Düsseldorf, Amsterdam. Wow. Awesome. Okay, well, for the second for the second time today, we are going to see the German Airways chocolate livery. If it's the same crew, they will probably be thinking, oh, there's that guy again. Is he still standing over here? Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Now, there's also a 777 outbound to Guangzhou from China Southern Cargo coming this way. We have seen one before, if I recall correctly. I doubt that this is the same airplane in this instance, because the first plane is still on its way to China, probably. Well, let's see if we can get away from these pilots, because it's probably the same crew already. Twice. Number 2. Well, I think that's a first. Seeing the same plane take off twice during one stream. Now, I think it was not last Friday, but the Friday before, I did start out along the Buitenvelderbaan then for arrivals. And then, as they closed the runway and traffic dried up, I went back to this location for departures, and there were a couple of planes that we saw arrive during the first stream, and we saw them take off during the second stream. But seeing the same plane on the same location twice during a single stream, I think is a first. Now, Düsseldorf, of course, relatively next door. Okay, so in the foreground we see China Southern Cargo, flight 2572, 777 freighter outbound to Guangzhou. This airplane, 13 years old, its first flight was in October 2009. Behind it is an Embraer 190 from KLM, flight 1335, outbound to Aalborg. The airplane is 7 years old. Its first flight was in November 2015. Nice contrast between the big bird in the foreground and the small bird in the background. I really wish that they would let those small planes go ahead of the bigger planes, because when there's a big plane in the background and it still is bigger than the small bird in the foreground, makes for a nicer effect to see the difference in size. Now obviously the triple heading out to the runway threshold. I am stopping with the pan because I'm waiting to see. Yeah, the Embraer is going to skip the line, take off first, so it's coming this way. The lights are on already. So probably a rolling start. and gone. And Frank, I did notice the XE above the cockpit. So yeah, last letters of the registration. Now I know. There's the condensation again over the top foil. I think you call that top foil, right? The top part of the wing. If not, do correct me. I want to use the proper jargon to describe these phenomenons. Right. Let's point the camera back towards the main platform area. Have a look on flight radar, see what is coming this way. A320 to London Heathrow. British Airways. And an Embraer 190 outbound to Stavanger. An Embraer 175 to Kristiansand. Now on the other side of the runway. And taking a left turn right now, China Southern Cargo, another 777 freighter outbound to Shanghai, also coming this way. So 3 narrow bodies and a heavy. Let me also check the runway usage app. Still nothing has changed. 24 still open for departures, as is runway 36 left. 27 still open for arrivals. Now there are a lot more airplanes in the meantime that have become alive on flight radar. Let's see what might be coming next after all these airplanes. So the British Airways A320 to London Heathrow will take off first in front of us. Lights are on already. The other traffic in the background also starting to get visible. cockpit windows seem a bit darker. Maybe tinted glass? Well, all those narrow bodies seem to be coming this way. Schiphol taxiing towards the runway threshold. So this 777 freighter from China Southern Cargo outbound to Shanghai is 3 years old. First flight was in March 2020. I think there might also be another 777 freighter from China Cargo Airlines to Shanghai underway. Poof, and away she is. So next up is going to be an Embraer 175 from KLM flight 919 outbound to Southampton. 5 years old. First flight was in July 2017, and I'm thinking we might also see China Cargo Airlines outbound to Shanghai. 777 freighter. Seems to be on the move along runway on the right hand side of runway 18 center, 36 center. Now there are several smaller jets also active on the platform. I don't see them coming over here just yet, and the triple almost certainly is. Now traffic does seem to be slowing down somewhat, so I'm thinking that maybe I am going to wrap up for today after the aforementioned 777 freighter. We have had a good run today. I do think in terms of the heavies, after the 777, there aren't going to be any on short notice. Everything I'm seeing is narrow body. So I'm gonna call it, if the 777 freighter is going to come this way, it is going to be the last plane of today's stream. We're going to see a turn and burn from this one. The rolling start, pedal to the metal. Up, and away, and gone she is. In the meantime, here's our triple. Let me do another check. So yeah, there is more traffic on the way, but those are 737s. For now, this is going to be the last heavy. And I'm going to reaffirm that this is going to be the last airplane I will be videoing today. So, this is China Cargo Airlines, flight 206, outbound to Shanghai, Boeing 777 freighter, brand new. It was delivered last October, or at least it had its first flight, I should say, last October. Still under warranty. If something goes wrong with it, you can always go back to Boeing with it. Hopefully won't be necessary. In the meantime, I see that Ingo was so kind to send a super sticker. I will have to look at the picture itself once I get home. as you guys can see, the only thing I see is the description. Hippo character waves goodbye with the words "next time" behind him. Now, since the chat is always so active these days, I am really unable to read all your messages while I'm out filming. So I do read all the chat messages back once I get home after each stream. So apologies if you guys were asking me something during the stream in the chat and I missed it. It's not on purpose, it's not bad will, it is because filming and looking at the flight radar and looking at the chat is sometimes a bit involved. Now, instead of going straight ahead, as is common in traffic in the Netherlands, you keep to the right. You'd think oh no, wait, that's my bad. That's just the one lane, that's still the one lane part. Closer by it gets, there is a two lane part where you can also overtake. Now it does look like a brand new plane as well. And Liwe, I did already see your donation. Thank you so much. Unless you sent a second one, but I did already get the email not too long ago. Maybe you missed it while I mentioned it during the stream, but I did notice it before. And again, thank you so much for your kind donation, my friend. And if you don't want to pay YouTube, that is perfectly fine. They do take serious cuts from everything. Now, meanwhile, as the triple is taxiing towards the threshold, you can see more planes are coming. Now, unfortunately, these are all narrow bodies. Had it been heavies, I would have stuck around a bit longer, but China, what is it? I keep confusing them. They all have some so similar sounding names. China Cargo Airlines. This is China Cargo Airlines. It is going to be the last plane of the day. In the meantime, there is a convoy of a bird controller and another vehicle. What is the last one? Authority. Respect my authority. And there is K4, the bird controller. So, lots of activity. Okay. Triple seems to be holding short, so I'm guessing they are awaiting for the two vehicles to have cleared everything. Interesting. First time I have seen two vehicles patrolling or whatever it is that they're doing. I don't know what these authority people in the right vehicle, what they exactly do. they do seem to be vacating the runway. So in the meantime, there's a whole little train of airplanes. 737 over here. E2 Embraer in the background behind it. Another Embraer 737. The triple also entering the runway. 737 is going to go ahead first, obviously. Now the Embraer that was behind this 737 is holding short. So the triple is actually going now. Last plane of the day, ladies and gentlemen. Going out with not so much a bang, but with the sweet tunes of the GE90s on that 777 freighter. Now, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much for joining me once again. We started a little later than initially intended, but I'm glad you all stuck with me for another afternoon of departures over here on Schiphol Airport, the Polderbaan. Thanks to everyone who was so kind to donate super stickers and super chats. You guys are the best, and thank you so much for your support. I enjoyed today, I hope you did too. I am looking to go out again tomorrow. I don't know yet if I'm going to go out tomorrow morning or tomorrow afternoon. If you are present, hope to see you then. If not, have a nice week. I will probably see you again then around the end of next week. And for now, take care. Enjoy the rest of the weekend, and I will see you all again very soon. Thanks and bye for now.